afternoon, good evening, Tartaria, Australia. Good day, Campbell, the autodidactic. We're back.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How
And
are
we're going to welcome our two guests for the day. It's very exciting. And I'm going to actually find out everyone's actual stories here. So I'm very excited. And the reason that these two lovely people have joined us. So this is Martin, who was the man that donated your time and energy to doing our audio and visuals and all the tech side for our Melbourne gig way back last year. And, you know, basically we couldn't have gone ahead without you, buddy. So welcome to the show.
No worries. Thanks. Great to be here.
Yeah, man. And Medyhne, hello from Horizon Humanity. Oh my gosh, I know nothing. I want to know everything. So, like, introduce yourself.
Lovely to be here. Thank you, Kelly. You go first, Martin. Martin is amazing. He's going to be humble. I know he is, but he's got the most incredible background.
should we premise it maybe with what's going on, and then maybe
All right.
What's happening? What are you two doing? You've got a collaboration going. What's happening?
Yes. Well, we've started putting together a documentary movie called The Golden Age. And basically the premise of the whole movie is to get people to think about and to be participant in the co-creation of what our golden age is going to look like. So, you know, you can't manifest something until you have clarity on what it is. And so this whole premise of the movie, the whole theme of it is to get people to really focus on what it is you want your new world to look like. You know, how do you want the new earth to look, the golden age, Shambhala, you know, whatever you want to call it, because if we don't know where we want to go, we can't get there. We have to be a co-creator in this process. And so that's the whole idea of the movie, is to focus on different areas that are really relevant to the golden age. And again, you know, that's a process in itself, because you have to break down so many aspects, and you don't want the movie to be too disjointed or scattered with too much information, but you also want to have the key, you know, features in there for what the new earth looks like. Things like, for example, communities and children, the new generation. You know, what do they feel is important for this new energy, this ascension energy, this new dimensional energy that we're going into. And so that's the whole purpose of the movie, and to make it really visually sumptuous, you know, beautiful, because the new earth, you know, that we're going into is going to have incredible colors, and perhaps colors we've never seen before, and it's going to be really beautiful. So we want to try and do that as much as possible within the context of how we can do that. And I'm very blessed to have Martin on board with me. Martin has the most amazing career in film and television, and he has brilliant skills in the area of putting a film together. So I'm very blessed to be working with him, and we've been really enjoying it, haven't we, Martin?
Yeah.
So tell us, how did you get here, Martin?
What I used to do, I've almost forgotten about now. So I really used to specialise more in live events, even though you do production alongside them. That's sort of ancient history now, and moving on. I've sort of taken a bit of a different direction from my previous work, but still in the same business. But yeah, so basically, I think on your last podcast, Kelly, with Dale and Campbell, you spoke a lot about the new earth. I think it's the same. It's basically the same thing that Medyhne is talking about. Everyone's sort of got a different word for it, but yeah, there's a lot. It's a lot happening already. There's a lot out there, and yeah, if you lived off grid in the bush like you're doing, it's almost like you're living in a different dimension anyway compared to the city.
Yeah. It's true, man.
Yeah. One thing that really emphasised my sort of change of thinking was that BGM always stood for background music. Now BGM to me means Battleground Melbourne, the documentary, because that was like a journal for me during all the protests. I think I went to every one of those protests.
Well, I think that's where we first met each other, Martin, was at one of the Melbourne protests in front of Parliament House.
That's correct, yes.
Mm, mm.
And,
Well, so okay, so what you guys are saying right now is that you're about to work on would this be Australia's first feature premiere looking at the Golden Age / New Earth topic?
As far as I know, yes. And, we particularly wanted to focus on Australia as well, because there's plenty of, documentaries based in America and the UK and things
That's
like
so
that.
cool, man.
Thanks. And so we thought that there was a need to focus on, what we feel is really important here, and our own, meeting our own criteria as opposed to, other countries. And so we picked out some people that we think have been outstanding, and we're trying to incorporate them. One of them, for example, is the one of the leaders of the whole homeopathic movement, even globally. Not only has he been the head of it in Australia, but also globally, Isaac Golden. I knew him actually years ago when he was based around Dalesford, and my son was really young, and I went to him to get homeopathic kits so we didn't have to have these. And so I did go to his house and I met him, and he's agreed to be a part of it. So very excited about that. And some other amazing people such as yourselves. And so we feel that, getting people in different areas that are representative of some key areas. Homeopathy, for example, is a great one because it's been so incredibly suppressed and censored as a modality in Australia and worldwide. And it is also incredibly powerful, and the benefits of homeopathy. So that was one that Martin and I agreed that was really important to include.
And it's all based around water, diluted water. It's quite amazing how it works, and the bigger the problem, the more diluted you got to have the water.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it weird how it works like that?
Yeah. And it's diluted to a point you can't even measure it.
The exact opposite to pharmacy, but they just keep upping the dose, don't
they? Yeah.
So, I mean, water, we don't even know where water came from or what the hell really is water, and how vast, like from one of our previous podcasts, we were theorizing that water is our understanding of God and source and creator. It is water. And we went into that topic. It was really fun to deep dive around the water topic and what was going on in the water, and, what are the oceans and what are above us, and
no intended, deep dive.
Yeah, deep dive, literally.
Yes. And also emotions, such a I live on an island and I'm surrounded by water, and it magnifies emotions, and it also magnifies, like if you're doing spiritual work, it magnifies that, because the water just sort of really expands everything that you're doing. And I've really noticed an acceleration in my spiritual path since I've been living on the island with all this water surrounding. So
what's the island? What is this mysterious island?
It's one of the Moreton Bay Islands.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I'll tell you later. But
the magical Golden Island.
Keeping a low profile.
That's all right.
No, that's fair enough.
I recently did a big event on Norfolk Island, and they had a conscious conference there. It was really amazing.
I know.
And,
a dear friend of mine went to it. Jeanette. I don't even remember Jeanette.
I don't remember. I was too busy scouring. I was doing 3 talks, so I was like in my trying to be my scholarly presenter talk face. Yeah.
Yes.
Till 3 o'clock in the morning. But all right. So okay, you guys. So basically, as the gist here, you're going to go around to various groups of people and individuals and organizations that have been sort of active in this new earth template, this organic template structure, and talk to them, interview them, and sort of summarize a documentary presenting, what everyone's thinking this actually is, this term, this meaning. What is the new earth? What is the golden age? What are we looking at here? What are the tangibilities? It'll be really fascinating to see everyone's thoughts and how synced up they are or not. It'll be really interesting to see the sort of content you get.
Well, actually, on that note, we got people to send in information on what they thought would be important and relevant for this type of project. And I do actually have a page here. Shall I bring it up?
Yeah.
So if you can see there, the top one there was the past is a control matrix. So some of it would be obviously where we've come from, our history, the control matrix and where we've come from, humanity coming from the false narrative, the revelations about the corporations that have been set up to control and to corrupt true flourishing, humanity's true flourishing. The time is now shifting to the new Earth timeline, the new Earth operating system replacing the top-down system, a heart-centered systems, topics to do with free energy and how that's going to work, creation of our own reality, belief in things beyond one's materialistic paradigm of five senses. So bringing in the spiritual, the metaphysical dimensions, those sorts of things. Our hidden power is related to the elements on Earth, is a topic that many people thought was important. I think the spirituality, yep, mentioned that. Service to others, disabling darkness and raising consciousness, the power of prayer, meditation, high human consciousness arriving on the planet now manifested in our children. So focusing on bringing in the new generations and what are they wanting to create and manifest, because many of these really young children have incredible wisdom now. The value of community and holistic health and energy healing. So they were some of the major topics that people were wanting us to focus on.
Nice. Good to see that history is up the top there.
Your thoughts, Martin?
Yeah, there's quite a bit we've got planned. I think pretty sure Dale has agreed to come on board to be
to
the
narrate.
host. But we wanted like a reluctant host sort of scenario. So someone to be a host that really doesn't want to be a host. So I think Dale there.
Dale will be great for that. Dale home.
And and that's why we want to rock up to your Lismore event and do a bit of maybe recording while the event's on. Maybe the question could be asked, what does the golden age mean to you, or something from the audience, as well as possibly interviewing both Cambell and yourself before or after the event. We were planning to do a lot of the shooting of Dale's intros to other people that we gather from around we will have some people from overseas. We're planning to do that at the Crystal Castle and Shambhala Gardens up in Mullumbimby, I think it is. Yeah, and then we also wanted to get your audience at maybe a lunchtime to all, we haven't quite nutted out what we want them to do, but there'll be a sequence where we want Dale to change his vibration to then go to talk to the next person. So the idea is that we're going to try and shoot everyone on a green screen and then have them appear in the location that he's in, and that he keeps changing his frequency to meet the next person, sort of thing, which you can do with visual effects. So, and he might get stuck and not be able to get to the next vibration. And if we have all the audience doing something to help him change his vibration, would be a good thing. And also I'm looking for...
It's got to be a dance, Cambell. We've got to make a breakout with Dream Baby Dream.
I haven't quite flushed it out totally yet, but and of course I'm always going to be looking for gems to put in the trailer, even if they don't end up necessarily in the actual program, because it's pretty important to get the a 2 or 3 minute trailer to be pretty exciting, sort of thing.
There you go. Get your tickets to the Lismore event now, guys, and you might get in the documentary.
Yeah, I mean, not just a documentary. Australia's very first localized documentary covering the new Earth. I mean, that's pretty fucking cool, man. Like that's it's a groundbreaking production, So coming to the live event is fantastic. You guys will obviously rendezvous with an awesome community that is just... I mean, it blows Cambell and I away. Every live event we do, the high vibration that emits from the hearts and consciousness of the people in that audience, like it sends tingles up your spine. I mean, Melbourne was pretty amazing like that, Martin, wasn't it? Like the energy of the day was just like...
People are still talking about it now.
Yeah. It was so high. And like that just came down to relief and connection and relationship and, you know, music and standing with your peers and everyone on the same consciousness finally after such division of the last couple of years. And, you know, we're all like that person, we're all that conspiracy theorist to our friends and family. We're all, you know, in that sort of bubble, and far out. It was just so freaking cool to have it all come together in these lives. We got quite addicted to meeting our community after this. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, there's heaps happening now. Like there's live events like starting to be launched everywhere. So I think the time is right.
And I think, you know, what you're talking about too, it's going to just take its own sort of form. So hopefully too, with the documentary, what we want to do is, although we have a sort of a basic fundamental sort of script or direction that we want to go, it's to be able to sort of also be able to be flexible, to be in the flow, and to sort of just bring it together organically with, you know, some really, you know, special moments for different things like, you know, this event. And so there's an element to it that is a little bit free flowing as well.
Listen, audience, our audience, anyone's listening to this right now, if you're coming to the Lismore event, it's just going to be a really amazing additional thing. Like, I mean, it's just amazing to get the audience on in this documentary and like to be part of the history of this new template that's growing and the, you know, these sorts of creations and creativity. This documentary, as one example, is just part of that initial, you know, like blueprint that's being formed and put out into the world. And like everyone should be there. From our audience, everyone should be in that documentary. It's going to be historical. So fucking cool, man. Thanks for like coming down to Lismore to capture this amazing moment in time.
Yes.
Oh, really excited about it. So thank you so much for having us. And you know, we're looking at some locations potentially around there. I was just going to mention, Martin, too, I did contact Crystal Castle and I was communicating with them, but they're in the process of selling it. So I'm not quite sure how we'll go with that because they're just very much focused on selling that location at the moment. But anyway, we'll see how we go. But there's some incredible, you know, obviously scenery around there, you know, of not only the ocean, but so many other things as well.
So much.
And also, you know, having a bit of history potentially as well and background of Lismore and what happened to Lismore might be interesting as well, because it sort of shows how community can come together. It shows that despite facing the most challenging adversity, that human beings are incredibly resilient and that they can rise above. I mean, how many floods did they have there? Was it 3 in total? I mean, it's just in the last few years. And it's like, you know, human beings underestimate how incredible we are and how much strength we have. And, you know, I think Lismore would be an example of that to people in Australia.
Well, that's why we chose Lismore. Hey, Campbell. Like,
it's just a perfect example of, you know, we don't need this control system, right? Because they literally got shunned by, you know, they didn't get any help and they fixed it all themselves. They just came together and proved that that's all we really need. And it's one of the, you know, the best and the most natural, shall we say, communities in Australia too. I think there's only the other one that we went to up near Rocky last year, Yeppoon. It was the only council to go against the mandates, basically.
Yep. I mean, all right. So, okay, well, we can't go any further right now without actually asking you guys, like, what is your definition of this golden age? Like, what is it you're imagining as this golden age? And like, we'll take as a premise that we're all pretty much in agreement with some of, you know, basically everything on your list. So what else unique to your imaginations are going to unfold in this beautiful new time ahead of us?
Well, that's a great question. And I think it really depends on your own. I've got a fan blowing here, by the way. It's not a special effect, but it's so hot here. I had to
we just saw you a star with the hair flowing in the wind.
I'm not trying to do any special effects.
My laptop is broken and I'm stuck in my green shed right now and it's like 4,000 degrees. It's very hot. Yes.
I know. I didn't want to do a pile of sweat. So
I'm being that.
So, but for me, I very much, because I'm an energy healer and a spiritual teacher, I try very much to focus on spirituality, and that's really important for me on a personal level. So, you know, that element of bringing in that into the movie is a very important aspect to me of, you know, going forward into the new earth, into the golden age, which is connecting to our own inner divinity and understanding that we are a fractal of the divine, of God, whatever you want to call it, source, energy, light, and not as any part of any religion, because of what we prescribe to, but as a connection to something higher than ourselves that is all-knowing, and so that connection is a really important aspect of moving forward, and acknowledging and recognizing that we each have that within us, and that no one is better than anyone else, and that you know, unity and coming together to support one another is part of this new energy. Being able to transcend and heal from what we've had to go through, from what we've had to experience in these last few years, and not only in these last few years, but in our entire lives. We've all had challenges navigating this 3D density that we've had to experience. And so, you know, it's going to incorporate alternative healing modalities, as I mentioned earlier, homeopathy. It's actually a fine art to bring it down to just a few key topics, and then to focus enough on them so you've got enough information, but you're not going, you know, in too fragmented a way over everything. And we do hope that from this we can potentially expand with some further ones in the future that can expand maybe some of the points in finer detail. What are your thoughts, Martin?
Well, yeah, I see really a back to nature scenario that I think the only way to get into another age is to live a lot closer and a lot more symbiotically with nature, because I think it's the only thing that doesn't lie. I think everything else has got, you know, it's always a grey area. There's no black and white, everything's sort of grey. So there's sort of good and bad, and the bad and the good, and all that. So, and I think, yeah, the more you know, the more you know you don't know, sort of scenario. So the more knowledge you get, the more you find out there's just so much more to know. But then again, things are really quite simple when you break it all down. So, yeah, I just find contradicting, like trying to explain things, you can always be contradicting yourself, but that's all part of it, I suppose.
What about you, Campbell? How would you define it? I've never asked you, buddy. Oh, he's frozen. Just what I asked him. Well, you know, I mean, I'm at that point, I guess, where several things are happening simultaneously. Like, one, I have returned to nature, obviously. So yes, I'm grounded in the space of nature, and see that as the transition from all of our deprogramming is to return to that grounded energetic of nature. I actually think it would be really difficult to go from deprogramming ourselves at this level and then not having that space to go to and reground. So to me, nature is a transitional next step, and that's obvious. At the same time, my thinking around everything has got to, we are definitely in a simulation, and we're definitely in a frequency specific realm. And so frequency is basically going to be what determines it. I'm at the place where I'm looking at, you know, this AI agenda coming in really powerfully now, and it's going to polarize and swing the pendulum of artificial intelligence very high in the next couple of years, and which will in turn basically force and magnify the creation of the new earth, because there'll be a massive push you know, to people now seeking connection and relationship. And the first thing you're going to do if you've been in isolation on the computer is to go to nature, and there they're going to find new earth communities everywhere. I was just talking about how people are going to start to seek relationship again after being so polarized by AI, and in that they're going to return to the first thing will be nature, and that they're going to find communities which are essentially this new earth organic template forming, or already he's here. At the same time, sometimes I get despondent. At the same time, sometimes I think, you know, I also pay heed to this idea of there being a catalytic event happening to do with timelines and programs and matrix and simulations, and potentially, there's a lot of talk about 2040 being a massive event, which is only survivable if you go underground, and thus the whole thing resets again. And then I think, oh dear, what is one to do with this humble time on this realm of ours? And so then I get philosophically despondent and slightly more creative, and see, this is quite a complicated question I've asked myself, because there's so many fucking layers to it. Yeah. So
And I think that point that you make about the frequency is going out of their head, because we've been very focused on being in the mental body and the mind, and going to the heart. That's part of raising that frequency. That's really important as well. Love.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, the love. That's the love chapter of my brain. That's definitely in the equation, the love chapter.
My heart.
Yes, yeah, that's a nice one.
What about you, Campbell? Tell me your definition.
Yeah. I think we're on the way. I think, it's all the stuff we're looking at. I think it's, all this free energy, which is based on nature, basically basing all of our tech and energy off nature, right? Off free energy, frequencies, geometry, including like growing food, all this kind of stuff, healing, as we talked about. It's all, we're just going to get back to mimicking nature, because nature's, it's going to be less polarized, I think, right? Because we're going to be less programmed, and nature isn't polarized. Nature is, you can see death and birth in the same kind of picture, and it's not good or bad, right? So nature's just this sort of unpolarized energy. So a lot more natural. I think we're going to get back there. I think people are going to wake up, understand they don't need to be ruled. Well, at least some of us. But I don't think it's going to be, I think, it's not going to snap over. I think, like Kelly says, a lot of people are going to choose, a different option to us, right? And then they're going to find out at some point that was not the good option. And whether there's a cataclysm, I still think there's going to be a frequency shift. I keep thinking about Dr. Emoto's work, and cymatics, cymatics, when they turn up the frequency and it just instantly changes. So we could literally be in the same physical space, and people on a certain frequency they'll go up and everything will change, and some people will stay and they may experience a reset differently to us, right?
Element, and also reuniting with the animals, being able to have that telepathic connection and communication with them, the animals and the birds. Martin and I were looking at this beautiful piece of footage where in America they were having births with the dolphins. So the dolphins would swim around the mother as she was giving birth, and the child would be born with these superpowers, incredible higher frequencies and superpowers.
That was in Hawaii, that dolphin assisted birth. And it goes down to the biofield, because the lady that talked about the tuning forks, where she could find a problem in your biofield, and then your very outer edge is when you're born. So if you've got the best possible birth,
exactly,
with nature, you've got the most powerful sort of field around you.
They don't want that. They want to rip you out, shove a needle in you, and smack you on the ass. Say, welcome to the world. Now we'll rip you away from your mother for the first few hours.
Exactly. Because apparently there was cases with kids that had the dolphin-assisted birth, and they were in a car accident. Everyone else in the car were, were like mutily wounded, and then this kid was fine.
Wow.
Like, it's. I mean, I don't know if that's just anecdotal,
but this is the thing, we don't know. I remember when I was growing up, I used to hear it all the time. It's like people like, well, how, if I didn't, it was all mainly around, dads, being dads. Oh, I get disciplined. If he didn't discipline me, I wouldn't be this, the person I am today. And I was always like, how do you know? How do you possibly know who you would be if you didn't get, disciplined and hitting all this? Maybe you would be Superman. Because everything we get taught and instilled is pretty much to tell us our limitations, isn't it? Or at least impose limitations on us.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to be ultimately very grateful for this control grid and very grateful for this experience. It's like taken all our freedoms away and suffocated us and enslaved us in financial jail. Like, we have to be grateful because exactly what you're saying, Campbell, it's just the same, isn't it? Like, I mean, our reality provokes in us that, and for our whole lives so far, it's provoked that in us. But man, I'm just over it, and like, it's got boring, and I really, really want to see like something so fucking different. I want to wake up to something so different. So I don't know.
This is it. We're doing it right, and this is where the conversation has turned. Like, for 2 years, it was wake people up, wake people up, do all this, and everyone's online and doing all this stuff, and now it's like everyone's kind of realized, hang on, we need to get off our asses and do something, right? We need to build this new earth, whatever you want to call it, and not wait for anyone to come and save us or for someone to come and lead us, down their path. Because, that's the thing, right? When you want someone to come and lead you, you've got to be a follower. That's probably not the new earth that they're taking you to, right? Like, the new earth is freedom and choice. So yeah, it's time to get building.
So
Exactly.
do you guys think there's going to be an event? Like, do you actually think there's going to be a major reset event coming up in our future, in this lifetime?
I think that there's a very good potential for that. I mean, it's hard to imagine the shift that we really require to move forward happening organically the way it's going at the minute, because there are still many people that are not what we would call awake. And so it would be plausible that there would be energetically some sort of, solar event. I know incrementally that we've been getting higher and higher cosmic, solar flares and things like that happening that are raising us as well. But there could be something for sure, because the divine is a component of this, and he's supporting our process. So if that's, or not he, but he, she, whatever. But it's supporting. The divine is supporting this process. And so if the process is not flowing organically in the way that it needs to for humanity to go forward into this ascension energies, it will be supported in some way, and I believe that, and I trust that. And I can't see, with the current trend of how things are happening, how it could move forward that quickly. And it feels to me also like we're on a precipice energy at the moment. We're just like, there's a real anticipation in the air of some big thing going boom. And that's not to take away our personal responsibility for being part of that. But there is a precipice moment happening right now, which is like we're sitting on the edge of a cliff, and then it's like choosing what direction we want to jump and how we want to go forward. And I think many people are feeling that, and that event or that thing that you're talking about, whatever that could be, it could be in different forms, is potentially the thing that is that precipice moment that shifts us into the new. What are your thoughts, Martin?
Yeah. Well, yeah, one of the best statements I think I've heard is that we are the people we've been waiting for, that it's all about, improving yourself, and everything else will come from that, and not to be too tied into what the future's going to be, but just to know that you should always improve yourself, but then also not get too hard on yourself. One of the most inspirational things I had was from Tom Barnett when I was trying to be better and not, really try and check my anger and stuff, but I was still getting sort of angry on the road when people were doing stupid things in front of me. And then when I heard he had the same problem, I felt so good, because I thought he's really got his act together. He knows what he's doing. But to hear that he still got angry on the road was such a relief to me. I was sort of kicking myself about it, and it was like, just be a bit easier on yourself.
That's such a great point. We need to give ourselves permission to just be human beings as well, and that we're going to not get everything perfect, and
we're allowed to be human. There's this sort of perception that to be spiritual, whatever that is, you've got to be a certain thing, and you've got to dress a certain way, you've got to talk a certain way, you can't drink and you can't smoke and all this kind of stuff. But you know, we are humans having a human experience, right? We've got plenty of time to be just spirit, you know, without the suit. That we're going to have lots of that. So yeah, this is the thing, you know. It's. I think it's like we keep talking about. It's a middle path, right? It's finding the balance. It's like it's just as bad to be an alcoholic as it is to be the person running around yelling at everyone who's having one drink, kind of thing. Who do I drink? You know. So it's middle path, man.
Yeah, and like, you know, hello, we live on a poisonous realm with our memories completely deleted, have no idea what we stand on, don't know who we are, don't know where we came from, don't know where we're going, don't understand the nature of this reality, like don't know what God is, don't know our history, don't know fucking anything, live in cities we don't understand, and all the food and all the water and all the air is all poisoned, and we're enslaved by this thing called money. Like, I think we're doing pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
And
so
to
you're allowed to have a
find
beer or a
gratitude.
wine.
But what actually is going wrong, Kelly?
I know.
What's the problem
Like,
there?
and now I've got goannas trying to eat my ankles. So yeah, I mean, like, you know, we're quite remarkable, positively charged entities to deal with all of that. And also, I didn't mention that our families all think we're crazy. So actually, like, I don't know, like we have to access love from a very, very organic source. Like we have to, and that's part of, I mean, that is the frequency shift, right? Like to stand there in conscious awareness that you are in all of that and still be able to find this expression of love and gratitude. I mean, I just think that's the miracle. I think that's the fucking miracle.
I had 2 really rotten days, really horrible days. And so I thought, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a painting. So I've started doing a little bit of a painting just to
it's invisible.
feel better. Can you see?
No,
it's the invisible painting.
It's you.
You disappeared.
An example of
send me a picture and I'll put it up on in the video.
Oh, it's not that, you know, it's sort of just in process, but
it's very impressive, an invisible picture.
It's because it's in a different frequency, man. Yeah,
it's just like, you know, feeling really crappy, and then I thought, well, what can I do to raise my frequency? And I, you know, want to be in a good space when I talk to you guys. So I thought I'll do a picture, and then really shifted my energy and frequency. Just a simple way to you know,
music too.
Creativity. It's the only thing we got, team, and fire. The campfire and creativity. The 2 golden nuggets and marijuana. No,
that's also what we make it do. It's so creative. It's a wonderful thing to be able to create something from scratch. It's also daunting when you're first sitting there with a blank page and thinking, where do I start? But it's very, very creative on you know, we've got some incredible music, by the way, from people globally that have contributed some amazing pieces, including a song that a girl wrote called Kate, and she recorded herself. It's incredible, and a lot of amazing music. We've got amazing imagery.
I see is music, like music played by musicians, right? Like bands that you actually have to travel for. You can't hear, you know, they're like, when you travel around, you hear different music and different. That's what I'm getting. You know, a bit more variety, right? This bloody pop parts and it's
the old stuff.
And everyone's running from it at the moment. It's literally every day there's another report of some musician coming out and, you know, supporting the agenda, and it's like everyone's like, well, there goes that band.
Yeah,
and people are literally at this point, they're throwing them away. They won't listen to them anymore. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Creativity is the key.
Yeah, we wanted to do something with sort of, you know, 528 and 432 hertz and have that sort of in sections of sort of little meditation sections, so that we can play and almost have subliminal messages maybe through there, but, you know, for the good.
Not buy popcorn.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like the cabal.
Take down the cabal.
I mean, like, we definitely, creativity is the key forward, you know, like if Cambell and I had sat down all that time ago and tried to like preempt the message of these shows and where our consciousness would go, we would have fucked out ages ago. We would have done our heads in and got really bored and probably pissed off with the whole thing. But like just being able to give ourselves permission to creatively chew on topics together and come up with like random theories. Like it really did bring us a lot of energy and magic. And I totally concur that creativity as a frequency band, it's lofty enough that it doesn't weigh you down. Like if you haven't created a thing yet and you're an artist or a musician or any form of creativity, you haven't created it yet, so you don't have any bad attitudes about it yet. You haven't like you're not talking negatively about it yet. You're not like criticizing yourself about it yet. It's lofty and it's yet to be created. So then you go into this beautiful space where you're touched and tapped into your intuition and your imagination, and then you're recharging your own batteries, and then at the end of it you have a beautiful thing that's come out of you, and that's energizing every time you walk past it. So like when you fill your home with various forms of your unique, and I consider putting up a kitchen shelf a creative action right now in my life. Like, like when I friggin' have to sand that wood and like make it actually work. And like I walk past that now every day and go, yeah, that's good. That's my salt lamps going on here, and the more we as a community give ourselves permission to prioritize creativity, to me, that's the gateway in. Like I can't think, I overthink. You know what? I go down to the nth degree on every topic that Cambell and I talk about, to the point where I'm just like, oh my God, like just hurry up already. Get just to bring it on, But creativity grounds me. It really does. Like having a painting studio, doing the art, it's just my key. I think that alone is the frequency shift.
Absolutely. And so many forms of creativity, cooking, gardening,
100%.
Whatever it is that you personally resonate with that allows you to express your creativity. Yeah.
But it's going forward, isn't it? It's putting something new out. Like when we work or, fix things or whatever, we're taking from the past and just remembering and repeating kind of thing, which is a circle. Yeah. Right? But when you're creating, you're literally putting it out there, and then you're going forward and you're seeing the results of that. So yeah, man.
And let's not underthink this. Like, to be frank, our audiences are badass creators. Like every single person I have met so far in all of our live events are creating at some form. They are all those artists, musicians, writers, poets, crafters, gardeners. They're constant. That's our community. And that to me, I don't know, like, does creativity, is it the same frequency as love? Do you guys think it's the same frequency as love, or is it a different?
Well, love is creation, isn't it?
Yeah. Is it a continuation of the? Is it a continuation of the quest for the Crystal City?
The Crystal City
really inspired a few people.
That really did.
I got ready to go to Northern Territory.
Yeah. That
now that's happening in other ways. It's like.
Yeah, I kind of think it's still going to happen, but yeah, that's a frequency thing. We're not going to push it. We're going to wake up one day and go, oh shit, we're leaving tomorrow. Apparently,
that's another great area, crystals. That for the golden age. But in terms of the frequency, that I think it's our higher connection as well, tapping into our higher self and our higher connection. That's very much a part of it.
Well, I guess when you are sort of connected and there's something more, right? So you don't buy the story as much because that doesn't make sense. It's like, hang on,
you're tapping into your infinite self.
I found that for me, like this whole going through all of these conversations that we have, it's not like it's steady ground. Like it's not like we ever like get to know for 100% that this, we can move on from that one. We know what it is, that never happens. Like, so, and for me, I always find that actually, as long as I'm using my vehicle, like I'm using my hands or I'm physically engaging my body or I'm doing my art or creativity, I ground myself very quickly. And if this is one thing about the AI, like the very opposite thing happens to me when I'm sitting in front of a computer. The very opposite thing happens to me where I go into the most ungrounded state and the most like lower frequency state and the most like depressed state, So when we do these podcasts, I always stand up, like I never sit down, because that movement of my energy is how I can even think on these topics, So, I mean, I think that's also a part and part with the moving back to nature, because you have no choice then. Like you're literally forced to do it. So, like at that point, I see so many of these gateways just all plugging into the same thing. Like everything we, I guess, desire and are hoping for all plugs into this organic template. And that's the term I give it, the organic template. The complete opposite to the inorganic template, which, by the way, we are privileged to watch meet its grand swan song of the next couple of years. Like it's about to like do the grand finale of the artificial intelligence. So I mean, that's cool that we get to watch it. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, and you can still go back to nature even if you're stuck in a city. It's, if you had a
100%.
full-on permaculture garden in your backyard, you're
Yeah.
pretty much back to nature. Like it doesn't have to be in the middle of the nowhere.
Really. Yeah, and they're like other options, that people should look at. There's people who are. I watched this lady, and she started a charity to feed the unfortunate, the less fortunate, and basically didn't have any land. So she just went out and got people who had big backyards that they weren't using, and went around and got volunteers and planted them all out. So now she's got farms, but they're just in little, couple of 100 acres.
Yeah.
But altogether, she's got this big farm. So this is the thing, and you can do it anywhere. Obviously, except a 15-minute city, so don't move there. But this is it's a transition, right? We can't expect everyone to just drop what they're doing and run off to the country. I mean, that's not going to work, is it?
But they will. That's coming, man. That's coming.
That's why we got to be.
At the end of the day, we don't really own the land anyway.
Well, all
the titles have been digitised and taken off us.
The government own it.
And there's a new initiative in Byron too, where they've got a group that are getting people pay a certain amount of money, and then they're buying the land, and then they're having farming done on the land, so people can get their food from the farm. And so each person has their own source of organically grown produce, and they are part of the land, so they can camp there and they spend their time there, and then they're expanding this to from 2 properties to more properties all over the place, where people can unify with these central points where the food is all properly healthy and wholesome.
That's so cool. That's why I keep saying we've got all the answers. We've already got all the answers. You just need to go and find them and stop listening to the BS.
Okay, so we live in a structure, and it's polarized. So it swings between destruction and creation. It swings between dark and light. It's the nature of this structure energetically. So imagine if the new earth isn't so much a place, but it's an energetic center, like it's a tapping into an energy. So if we're looking at what happens to one when they plug back into nature or move back into nature, and like really I think pretty much everyone's going to end up back on the land. Like I just do. I think the cities will become like intolerable over the next three years, no matter how good your attitude is, but I can be proven wrong. So my point being that we all need to somehow detox from the frequencies that we currently exist in. And the only way I can see that happening, like in this realm, is for you to go to a place where you can ground yourself, where you get the experience of security, and security coming in the form of food, shelter, water, wood, heating, fire. And that security comes in the form of community and friendship and relationship and security when it comes to disasters around you, that sort of like localized economy, and like knowing your neighbor, and all of that all just leads to a sense. And also add in, nature is beautiful, so you're constantly looking at beautiful parts of the organic template. It's also dramatic and dynamic, because you're seasonal suddenly, and you're engaged in storms and droughts and floods, and it's dynamic. So it's a real clean out of the energy every time that happens. It puts things into priority really quick. And also you get the blessing, the gift of animals in all forms. You get to have that meditation with animals and get to be soulfully connected. All of that just equals and leads to a state of lightheartedness.
Yeah. I think it's a balance too, because not only are those things really important, but it's also being able to go inward and connect with your own inner self and your authentic self of who you truly are, and that then connects to the community and things like that. So it's that inner connection as well, building that has been super important. And actually the whole pandemic time where people have had to stop and go inward more has been something that's helped to facilitate that for people. And I think that balance between that and then, you know, working with community and nature and things is a key balance as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's that we've had our minds being programmed by someone else for so long. We've got to deprogram, but then also learn how to program our own minds, you know, and then we're not constantly programming our own mind, then someone else will be doing it for us. And it's almost like we have to become our own psychoanalysis, you know, because you go to a shrink or whatever with some mental problem, it's always having another person involved is always going to be in the way, where you can do it yourself with the right training and stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking about that before when did someone mention religion? Like, just go straight to source. Why would you have a middleman, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Really, that's what religion and all these books are. It's someone interpreting their message of source to you. It's like, what? Get rid of the middleman, man. It's just,
and then that allows for the power corruption to
exactly,
because you're giving away your sovereignty, your
to men. It's not to God. It's to men. Men created all these systems, not the creative force that created us.
And then what they do, they pit those against one another to create the disruption and the division that then empowers their control further. So it's just a vicious cycle. Yeah.
And I mean, like, I remember I was talking to a teacher and many years ago, and he said to me that the great masters of the world, the ones that, like, did you guys ever read the Masters of the Middle East? It was a famous scholarly text of this story of these masters that went through the Middle East, and they were miraculous. They could do amazing miraculous things. And so we were talking about that. And they said to me that true masters on this realm, like true awakened beings, like you don't even ever know about them. You never even hear about them because they basically return to the forests of the world and disappear. They return to nature because that is the greatest connection into that light heart frequency, that frequency band that would be closest to source consciousness, which in somehow disconnects you from, like, gets you out of here. There's something about it that gets you out of this realm that we're in, this control grid. Like it's like it provides you with that doorway, but the only way to get there is to lighten your ass up. And that's really hard because, as I previously described, we live in a pretty unfair game. Like, it's difficult to do. Don't think being on the land is going to, like, miraculously solve that problem, like, because that is not the case. I think it's going to take a decade at least.
Yeah, it's simplifying. It's just because everything's got so complex and complicated. My poor mum, she's 93, and she can't barely function in the world now because she doesn't have the computer skills. She doesn't have the ability to pay bills or whatever, because all the ways that we navigate on the earth at the moment are so complicated and complex and difficult. So it's just really coming back to the basic structures and simplifying. And then, like you say, Kelly, that connection to Mother Earth is everything, because Mother Earth is also a sentient being who is supporting us as well. So yeah, really important.
Yeah, man, the truth is simple. If people need to explain things to you in equations and that, they're trying to tell you something. The truth is always simple.
Well, except it's not always simple being in nature. Like, there are goannas trying to break into the and there are simple. Brown snakes like freaking me out. And everything is very hard and heavy and rusty, and it's friggin' hot and yada, yada, yada. Like, there's a million things that have to happen that's, it's not like skipping through the tulips.
No,
that's definitely not the case. Maybe in a decade when all of that is done and nature's been manicured by our community.
Nature will teach you as well. It's like, you don't need a degree to go into nature, right, and to learn.
It'd
Yeah.
be good to look up the spiritual meaning of goanna and see why he's trying to break in. What's he trying to tell you?
Oh, ooh, bit of a serpent trying to break in, huh? He's not going for the garden, is he?
Garden, eggs, feet, lots of feet action. So yeah, I mean, like, nature is an interesting thing because, I believe there's going to be an event. And I think that history's looped enough and the resets have shown themselves enough to me that there is going to be, that we basically live in some sort of giant simulated, pixelated clock, and that potentially molecules are just pixels, and we are literally, going to go through a clock-like reset that will come with an event. But my thoughts are that there's something about plugging back into, well, when I say nature, I should just say the organic template, because that's just could be anything, but like it has to be organic, that offers you with energy and heart, because you can not do that and still put a lot of time having to deal with the reality around you, or you could go and plug into nature and deal with the reality around you. One is just going to provide you over time with a shift and a healing and a grounding and a sovereignty, and the sovereignty gives you lightheartedness, and that's the frequency we're after. At that point, I think, is when we can truly start to talk about a vibrational shift. Like, I know that I don't have that vibrational shift yet. I've got all the information. I got the consciousness. I've got the farm, but have I internally vibrationally shifted it? No. I'm still pissed off with the fact that I lost my license for not voting. That's still fuck that. Like, I'm not that yet. I think it hasn't come yet. It's coming as a polarized counteractive. Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people think they're there, and then they run around going, "When's it going to happen?" And it's like, well, if you were there, you would just know that it's going to happen, and it'll happen when it's going to happen, right? Yeah, I mean, I don't think, and that's when it's going to happen, right? When enough people are on a level to create a change, right? This is what we see. We know this. The experiment with the monks who meditated.
I mean, is it collective or is it individual or is it both? Like, do we even know that?
I think that the important thing too is that surrender and letting go at the moment, because when you're attached to some sort of expectation or outcome, sort of blocks that flow. And so it's all, we don't really know exactly if the planet's going through this transition with, the species upon it, humanity, and it's never happened before in this way. So we can't say exactly, but it's about just surrendering any sort of attachment and just allowing that flow to happen in trust. And that's about your connection to the divine too, which is a trust that everything, you're an eternal being, everything's going to be fine, and that it's all divinely aligned.
Yeah, well, isn't that what manifesting is about? That you've got to vibrate as if it's already happened, which is not actually easy to do.
Yeah.
But,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, this is the thing I think about this a lot is, like, if, there's this thing about belief. So if the reset can happen, does that mean that you're creating it? And if it can't it's like with manifesting, they say, focus, you've got something. But if you take it from the perspective of, well, that's my car, say it's already happened, I'm just waiting for the person to turn up with the car. That's a different thought. So so we're creating all this is what I'm talking, because you were talking about the cliff before, and we're on this cliff. And I always think of that Bible verse where it says, the people got, so angry that they all started yelling at God, come and help us. And that's when there was basically a reset, right? So is something, are we creating this? Because everyone's yelling, give me something. So something might be given, right? It's not necessarily going to be the big reset or something, but we're going to be creating all this stuff.
Yep, I think collectively we have got sick of the status quo of the way things are, and we are all on an inner level knowing that there's something better that we can attain.
And I'm not waiting 17 more years. No, give it to me now, baby.
Yeah. Well, it could happen tomorrow as well. When in truth we don't know, and people when they tune in say very differing things, but I think that if we just focus on our own joy and happiness and frequency, and do the inner work to transmute our own shadow self, and all the things we've been talking about, connecting to nature, being creative, if we all do that, and then also take a stand, in the world, and have a voice and not be compliant, and if we don't agree with something, just make that known and just do what we can to help create this shift, but not put our own complete sort of energy into just wanting to change, like protesting or things like that. It's a balance of being in a higher frequency, but also taking action. So if you're too focused on one specific thing, you're blocking the other. So
Yes.
everything's all about balance.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if you want to change something, change it. Don't go out and yell at someone to change it. Which is,
because then
this
you can
kind
give
of
more energy to the thing that you're wanting
well,
to
exactly.
change.
This is kind of the thing about protest, and of course, all that needed to happen for awareness and that. But if you're still out there 3 years later yelling, change, you're probably in the wrong energy, right?
Mate, those protests were friggin' parties, man. Like that's where we went to
Well, I don't know.
socialize. That was where we got to have
family.
human
That was like,
contact.
we got let out. We got lunchtime. We got let out.
It was funny. Everything in Melbourne's so shut down to us. And yet every weekend we had the biggest freaking party with music and smoke and people and colour and excitement,
and
like every week.
That's the thing. That's why you don't need to say, no, we don't want you. You're wrong. You just need to understand your power, right? Like, with things like, the law and that, if you don't need to know all the law, you just need to know that you're a human with rights, and then no one has any power over you, but you've got to stand in that power. But the problem is people learn all this law and they go, oh, I know all the law. And then a policeman walks up to them and they're like, oh, and
You're better off doing role play with someone to see how you would react.
Just stand in your power.
What a crazy world. I mean, that's just all crazy. That's all
isn't
crazy.
It? But that's all we need to do is just go, it's all crazy. I'm not playing anymore. Sorry, little Mr. Blue little man with your little lights. You have no jurisdiction here.
Yeah.
Have you tried any healing stuff with your tuning forks, Campbell?
I have got my healing forks. Just on myself.
Right, okay. Have you found any loud bits in your aura?
I'm just doing it on myself. So I've got like one of the ends.
Or
if you can see it, that where you actually put it on. And it vibrates through. But yeah, this is the one that seems to be the right resonance. And so I'm just doing it around my arm, and my hand's been doing weird things. It made this big crack the other day, like dropped about, like it just sort of went, oh, that was interesting.
Ascension symptoms. We're covering that in the movie too.
Oh, nice.
I'm so excited. That's Campbell. I'm so excited for the cool modality healing stuff that's going to come out soon. Like, man, it's going to be so effortless and easy, and like ping, ping, clap, like
some copper.
Copper.
Spooky too.
Yeah, I mean,
frequency for the problem.
It's all so simple. It really is simple. Like the earth tech, if you want to call it, it's simple. Literally, you can get bits of wire and shove them in your garden bed, and you need less water and no fertilizer. Suddenly, it's like, oh, well, that's pretty simple.
We'll be testing that out, Campbell.
We will be testing that out.
Let's see how all that goes.
We're going to make the copper farm, man. It'll glow from the distance.
Yeah. I found on the side of the road a huge bit of copper, which was an earthing pole.
Oh, nice.
Maybe.
Hope you grab that.
Bring it down with you to this moment.
Man.
Maybe somebody's got something really important they'd like to contribute in the at the event. When they get there. I've got a girlfriend going there, but she's camera shy, so she won't be
like, she's not going to be behind it.
But that's also something too that we'd love, and feel welcome.
That's the thing. I think you guys are going to be busy for like a decade or so, because I don't even know how you're even going to choose what to put in. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to be, an hour or 2 hours. That'll be very hard. So
yes.
I mean, Going to be
Yeah,
lots
it gets filled up pretty quick. You only need, 2
can
or 3 minute
imagine.
interview,
You know.
and
Because
And
are
you-
you covering what people are doing as well? Like, are you sort of talking to people that are out there already creating the new Earth?
Some of them, yes.
sort of. It's sort of a scenario that the script will sort of write itself once we've shot a certain
Okay,
amount
so
of
you're
stuff.
still in
We've
cool.
got a sort of a storyboard going, but it's really hard to write a script
Oh, we agree.
before the event. Like, even though you're supposed to, a lot of documentaries these days do develop organically, like we're trying to do with this one.
We've never scripted anything. Ever, including the live event, and we got up on stage, and 8 hours later we went, "Oh, I guess that's the end of it." So,
Well, guys, so
scripting cuts your connection.
okay, so just to recap, and what is there a name for the documentary or working title?
The Golden Age.
All right,
is
the
the
Golden
Golden
Age.
Age.
And is this going to be something you're aiming to release cinematically, like in cinemas and theaters, or is it an online thing?
Oh, maybe we could have like a premiere at a certain theatre in Melbourne.
Definitely.
Yeah, we'll gear it for a wide range release, but then we don't know the finances wise how that's going to pan out. But there's a few online. The Good Line, I think, was one that Medyhne had some connections with, and there's a few others. There's Water Bear, a few others that have sort of popped up.
They're like independent film producers and things.
Yeah, independent
Nice.
streaming services for sort of alternate content.
We've also got a couple of wonderful admin ladies that are helping out too and doing a great job.
Yeah. Do you need anything else? Like, have you got? Do you need any other skilled people or anything that you're looking for?
I'm looking for like a motion graphics guy, because I can do a fair bit of the editing, but not so much the After Effects and that type of thing.
There you go.
But it can just hire that, because I want to do lots of like auras and transfer of energy. Like, there's a package you can buy that gives you all of these visual effects, like portals and.
Oh, don't give all the secrets away, man.
Don't
give all the
It'll be
ingredients
magical.
away.
Yeah, so if you do have those skills, send Martin a message if you can fulfill that role.
Oh, sorry. And maybe someone who we're working potentially with a drone for a little bit of footage. So if someone
drone
has
pilot.
a drone and they want to participate, please contact us. That'd be
Yep.
good.
It'd be good if you had a drone pilot everywhere you went. So it'd be good if there was one in the Northern Rivers that like might be inspired to offer their service while the guys are here.
Yes.
And we're definitely going to invite Dale to speak at the live event. And our audience will be very excited to know that a premiere doco is being made, featuring, the audience. That's really super cool. So, I mean, yeah. So, guys, it's going to be really fun to collaborate with you on this project, whichever way it all unfolds.
So I'm going to be running across the country this week. Well, after the weekend, finally. What are you shaking your head at?
Cambell will be in a tent. He's going to be in a tent.
If anyone has a nice caravan that they want to get rid of, that we can borrow, we'll work it out. But yes, I do need to buy a caravan. A good deal for me.
Campbell's doing it. He's returning to nature. He's
doing it.
Taking the
going
lead.
off grid. I'm upgrading. I was going to be in a tent, but we decided it might be a bit wet and cold. So.
And also, you've got to keep up your online channel, Cambell. You've got to keep up with your research and your videos, and that means power. So, yeah, we're taking it back to basics. That means a generator for you, buddy. Some solar panels, whatever.
Solar panels, solar generator. Oh my gosh. Yeah, man. I'm going to be like Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah.
Well, with a computer.
All right, guys. Well, look, so amazing to chat with you today and just to get heads around what you're up to heads up our audience about what's happening around, and like so fun to see this project manifest itself and just be a really beautiful historical feature that I'm really looking forward to seeing. Can't wait to see all the Aussies have a chat with you guys.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to have your support, and also, really want to acknowledge the amazing job you're both doing as well. So thank you, and looking forward to the event. Yay!
Thank you, and yeah, thanks for taking this on. All the links below. Arise Humanity is Medyhne's channel. And if you can help out with the picture-y stuff, send them a message.
And get your tickets to Lismore, everyone. It's
Yes,
getting better
be
and better
there.
and better and more exciting.
Come on, you can show your grandkids this. I was there at the start, see?
It's Woodstock, man. Woodstock of the new earth.
It is.
It's big, big, big
Nice.
love.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. See
See
ya.
you guys. Have the best week ever. Tartaria, Australia.
Stay awesome.
You know those suits and ties, they got no love for what's alive. It's up to you, it's up to me, my human family. The time has come, my friends, to steer your will until it bends. Fill your heart until it breaks. And breathe for goodness sakes, and let it break down. Let it crumble to the ground. Can't stop the love rising within. Our realm could be flowing with joy, and the people will wake and yearn to be free, and the system will break. What makes you feel alive? All those dreams you've kept inside. Well, that little voice inside your head, you turn to it instead. You're watching the divide, you watch the conquering of minds, the broadcasting of spells to make you feel unwell, to make you break down. But not this time around. You can't stop the love rising within. Our realm could be flowing with joy, and the people will wake and yearn to be free, and the system will break. When the sacred returns, all roads lead to peace, with antiquity to employ, and freedom will grow from mountain to sea, and Tartaria will rise greater than ever. No better place to be, with living waters and life so free. Embrace the mystery, the healing arts, the alchemy. They can't stop the love rising within. Our realm could be flowing with joy, and the people will wake and yearn to be free, and and the system will break for the better. Can't stop the love rising within. Our realm could be flowing with joy, and the people will wake and yearn to be free, and the system will break for the better. When the sacred returns, all roads lead to peace, with antiquity to enforce, and freedom will grow from mountain to sea, and Tartaria will rise. Can't stop the love rising within. Our realm could be flowing with joy, and the people will wake and yearn to be free, and the system will break for the better. When the sacred returns, all roads lead to peace, with antiquity to enforce, and freedom will grow from mountain to sea, and Tartaria will rise.
Right, sorry, pause. Like, because I'm actually on a farm, I have issues. And right now there's a goanna trying to break into the shed. So just give me one fucking second.
Speaking of nature.